Well, the following presentation is a video complaint. I want to start a new format of complaining. I believe that the complaint game is lacking some videos. The complaint is to Brussels Airlines, an institution I fear has been taken over by criminals. Now, the story of the complaint is that when I was flying from Vienna to Glasgow, got some tickets, Vienna to Glasgow, touched down in Brussels, get a connection. This was a couple of months ago when we had that terrible snowstorm. Lots of planes were grounded, lots of flights were cancelled, and there were a lot of people in a worse off situation than myself, Stephen Foggy, and Michelle Taylor, my travelling companion. In Brussels Airlines then, when we found out we were supposed to go somewhere to queue up to speak to somebody about rerouting the flight, taking another flight back. So we get there, there's a short queue, maybe 50 to 60 people, but it was moving very, very slowly. It was moving slowly, granted, because there were people from a variety of destinations, and they were trying to sort out alternative arrangements for the concluding part of their flight. Some of them were being put up in hotels and told to wait until another scheduled flight took place. Some of them were maybe just taking a bus or alternative transport in Brussels, or just some people even just decided to hire cars and vans from Brussels and then just drive the rest of the way to where they were going. So it was an emotional time. We waited in this queue then. It was moving quite slowly because there was people that were waiting a lot longer than myself and Michelle. So we get to the front of the queue. There was a gentleman called, I think his name was Hans. He was about 5'10", mousy brown hair, spiky, sort of buzz cut, spiky hair, with a well-groomed moustache. Now, we get to the front of the queue. He says, "Where are you going?" And we say, "Glasgow." And he says, "Don't do this to me." Now, I appreciate that he's got a very challenging and difficult job to do, representing Brussels Airlines in what must have been their most difficult day of the year by far, or second most difficult, given that the next working day was much the same. Now, he says, "Don't do this to me." And I say, "What do you mean, do this to you? You know, we are victimized in this situation as well." So then he says, "Right, well, we can offer you a flight to Newcastle tomorrow." I think that was the Saturday. "We can get your flight to Newcastle on Saturday, but you'll have to pay for your own car, hire car from Newcastle, up to Glasgow." So I said, "Well, our tickets are for Glasgow, so maybe we'll just take a flight on Sunday instead then. And he said, well, usually we wouldn't allow you to stay in our hotel for more than one night. Usually we would only be expected to put you up for that one night. And I replied simply, does this situation seem like a usual situation? I would say that this situation is unusual. Now, at this point, I was given a route. He said to me, I don't like your attitude. When I didn't point out in a rude fashion, I simply said this situation is not normal. That was it. So I think this guy had a rough, maybe some of the previous customers were really rude and aggressive and angry to this guy. We were not. So we bore the brunt of his inability to handle the situation. Now, when I said we could take a flight to Glasgow on Sunday, he said, well, there's nothing on Sunday. You'll have to go on Monday then. Now, I said, well, we'll go on Monday then. I would have been happy enough with that. I wouldn't have been happy to kill time in Brussels, because that's all we would have been doing when we've booked a flight and it's been agreed that we're supposed to arrive in our destination on Friday, and if we don't get there till Monday, that does represent a failure. But I would have rathered that than suffer the drive up, which was treacherous, hiring a car, which was difficult since we got into Newcastle at 11 p.m. on the Saturday this was, so I would have rather not do any of that. However, Michelle was worried about not making it into work on Monday if we took the flight on Monday. So he said, well, there's no flights on Sunday, so you'll have to go to Newcastle on Saturday. Now, I don't know if he was incentivised to try and get people on the Newcastle flight instead of to their original destination, Glasgow. But he told us there was nothing on Sunday. Now, this was probably maybe 5 p.m. or so. The couple that were served in the queue after us, they were at a parallel station, they got flights back on a Sunday to Glasgow. So I believe that this gentleman named Hans, because he was suffering and buckling and he was losing his mood, I think he retaliated against myself and Michelle for simply posing the statement that this is not a usual situation. So look that up, Brussels Airlines. Find out. Stephen Foggy, Michelle Taylor, what time did they book their tickets to Newcastle on the Saturday? Were there anyone's tickets available at that time for flights to Glasgow on the Sunday? Because if you look at the record and you find out that there were flights to Glasgow available at that time, then you have some evidence to substantiate the claim that this gentleman was simply responding as in a human manner. I'm not really saying he's to blame for reacting poorly, but I am saying that myself and Michelle were injured as a result. They say that you'll get, he said, just phone this line, they'll get you any expenses, they'll refund you any costs you incur over the next 24 hours. So when we get back, after having spent a night and a day, we're in the same clothes, you think you're going home that day, so we didn't buy any clothes. However, we did buy some knickknacks and some bits and bobs to make us just be able to survive the next 24 hours. We went back to Brussels Airlines. And at this point, we are seeing people queuing for, I mean, the queue's 1,000 long, but I said it was 50 people long, or maybe 100, and that was a 3 to 4 hour queue. These people that were waiting, if it was 1,000, I mean, I literally think they must have been there for 24 hours or more in their queue. So I really do feel for them. But when I complained, I wrote a letter to Brussels Airlines and I said, well, I'd like to be reimbursed for these flights, 170 each. The car hire was maybe 100 or so. I'd appreciate that back, and I put a price on our experience as well. I think I said probably I would have said £100 each minimum for the stress and for the fact that part of your holiday was ruined for that. And then I said plus our little knickknacks that we spent in cash. Now we did lose those receipts, but when the gentleman wrote back to us, he said, well, have you got receipts for your expenses? Now, when he sent that letter back, I thought, okay, well, that's a good question, because obviously that implies that he's going to give us back our money that we spent on the tickets, and that he's going to recoup our car hire that we do have a record of, and that he's going to obviously give us something for the fact that there's no denying there was a suffering of some stress as a result of this trip. So I was thinking that's good. He said, right, well, we're not going to give you the knickknacks, and we're not going to give you anything else at all either. Now, I would say that was poorly handled, because it did assume, you know, when he's asking the question, give us the expenses and the receipts for that, I thought it implies that he's going to cover everything else. So they didn't. We asked him, okay, well, how do we escalate this complaint? We get a response. The response says, we can't refund you for your tickets because you ended up in a destination. You got somewhere. You didn't get where you bought a ticket for, but you got somewhere. Now, we've asked multiple times for instructions as to how to escalate this complaint. No instructions have been given, and so it's time for another channel, and this is that other complaints channel. So it's a video message complaint to Brussels Airlines. Can you please tell me how to escalate a complaint? Or you can look up the gentleman that's dealing with the complaint, or you can offer some kind of goodwill gesture to myself and Michelle for the journey that you've got on record. Look up what was available at that time, prove that your staff member did make an error of some kind, reacted poorly, took an unauthorised measure, and I'll be able to stop at that point making video complaints, or I'll just make some more video complaints, which I'm prepared to do. This video was sponsored by British Airways.